Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Curtis, and today I'm going to talk about episode 6 of She the People. So, the episode actually starts off with Shamika, Basil, and Antoinette. They are inside of Antoinette's bedroom, and Antoinette, she's trying on different outfits. She eventually lands on a suit to the dismay of Shamika and Basil. Shamika and Basil believe that she is going to turn every man off because she resembles Kamala in that suit. She tells them that that is kind of her goal. She's basically not trying to turn every man off, but she's trying to turn every other man off. Shamika links this to the note that she found on the jar from the last episode that they believe was written by Michael. And she believes that she's trying to do everything she can to try to turn Michael off because, as I stated in previous episodes, Antoinette, she is attracted to Michael. And of course, that's not professional, so she's trying to prevent anything from escalating. Basil tells her that he also noticed that Michael has been flirting with her, and that is not right. But I do think it's very important to note that Basil does want Michael's job, so maybe a little bit of hating in there, a little bit of truth in there, but he does say that he noticed as well. Antoinette tells him that she has plans to get a new driver, who is not named Basil, of course, and that she also plans to deal with Michael. And when she says deal, I'm going to assume that she means that she plans to fire Michael, later that day. In the living room area, we see Michael, who offers to take Antoinette's bag to the car. We then see her kids Lola and Titus come into the living room area. And Lola, she's dressed down, so she's not in uniform like her brother. She is dressed down. And Lola tells them that it's actually come as your soft day at school. Antoinette, she's not really feeling it. She's also not feeling the outfit. She has on a skirt, and it's very revealing, so she wants her to change. Lola, she does get upset, but eventually she agrees to go change. Michael then again offers to take her back to the car. She really doesn't want him to, and then they have like this super awkward moment where he grabs the bag, she has the bag. It almost looks like they grab each other's hand. But eventually she lets it go and he takes the bags onto the car. And everyone is just like, oh, that's just so romantic. And I actually thought that was kind of funny. In the car, Titus tells Antoinette that he has a 90s assignment due, and it's about HBCUs. And he wants her to help out, in which she is very delighted because she actually attended Jackson State University. After this, they pull up to the school, the kids get out, and Antoinette is curious if Michael can drop her off at Jackson State University because she actually wants to talk to a couple of people that she knows there. He tells her that he can drive her past the university, but he can't actually drop her off because, one, of course, it's the security risk. She is the lieutenant governor. But also because any excursions or any activities that they do has to be ran by the governor and it has to be scheduled. And this kind of irritates Antoinette a little bit because she's like, so he has to know everything that I do, but I can't know anything that he does. And while I can understand where she's coming from, he is the governor, you are the lieutenant governor, so essentially you do have to follow his lead. So him knowing your activities, you not knowing his activities, I mean, that's pretty much how it works in any typical business. Antoinette and Shamika, they arrive at the Capitol and are immediately asked to come into the governor's office. And I was like, okay, this is good. You wanted to meet with them, and now you're there. And, while they're in the office, Antoinette notices that Reverend Jones is there. Reverend Jones tells her that he told the governor so many good things about her and that she was a blessing and that he is thankful that she was able to get everyone on board when it comes to the pipeline. Antoinette is confused. Shamika is also confused, and they both speak up and say, hey, we did not have anything to do with that. When we were there, we actually did not get anyone on board, so we're not really sure what you're talking about. Reverend Jones then interrupts her and tells her that everyone has agreed to sell their land. Everyone is on board. He's super thankful. And then after this, he randomly starts to shout. And this actually causes the governor to get nervous. And he actually mentions his heart. And he mentions the fact that he may have peed on himself. And I was just like, okay. And I think that's going to come up again because this is, I think, the second or third time that he has mentioned something about his health, or we have seen something about his health. So I do think that may come up a little bit later. I'm gonna keep track of that. But Antoinette, she is confused. Reverend Jones, he continues to talk and he continues to thank Antoinette for everything that she did and helping them on their mission to bring the pipeline to the state before he leaves. After this, the governor and Jed, they actually kicked Shamika out of the room and all of them began talking. And Antoinette reveals, well, she already said it, but she says, I'm not sure what he's talking about. When I was there, nobody was on board, so I'm not really sure what happened in that situation. She also reveals that she's not really in agreement for the pipeline because it's going through low income communities in multiple different states. And she's also asking for an explanation in which the governor basically says, I do not have to explain anything to you. I'm the governor. You are the lieutenant governor. You work for me. You are my employee. And essentially, I run the show. So you really don't have any say so in anything. So I do not have to explain anything to you. But this doesn't actually deter Antoinette. She keeps asking the questions over and over. And eventually he tells her that this actually came from someone in her office. So someone who was a part of her staff actually reached out and they were actually the ones who were able to convince everybody to get on board. And she's like, well, who sent it? And of course, he's not going to tell her. She tells him that she wants to be more involved and she just wants to know what's going on. And at this point, he pulls out his phone and they actually start watching the video of her making the pig noises. She gets upset and she becomes very confrontational. Like before, it's just kind of like, okay, I'm going to say something, laughy joke, but not this time. Like she was very serious, very stern in what she was saying. And she confronted him and she's like, hey, I need to have some answers. I need to know what's going on. Like, I'm not really playing around. And he tells her that the last woman that talked to her ended up getting divorced. And she says, congratulations to her. I'm happy for her. He asks her if she is appreciative of her position. She says that she is appreciative of her position before asking him to think about moving the pipeline just 2 miles north so it doesn't affect those communities. The governor claims that it will cost more money to move it up north, in which Antoinette interrupts him and says, no, it's actually going to cost the same amount of money. I've actually looked at the numbers. I actually reached out to the contractors. It'll be the same amount. And then it's at this point where she kind of said it a little bit earlier, but he really says it this time like, hey, I am the governor. You're going to do what I say. I've already made the decision and you need to leave by. And she leaves the office. Antoinette and Shamika go back to her office and it looks like Antoinette is about to have a panic attack. Shamika gives her a pillow and Antoinette screams into it. She calls Henry in and asks him if someone from her staff sent a letter regarding the pipeline. He tells her that a letter was sent after she left to the pastors, but he is unsure what is on the letter. Antoinette tells him that he needs to get a copy of the letter. Henry tries to play games as if he can't get it. She's like, no, you need to give me a copy of that letter. He's like, okay, cool. And then he ends up leaving. Antoinette then tells Shamika to reach out to Michael, who is nearby, and tell him to come into the office. Shamika calls him. He comes into the office. And then she tells Shamika that she needs to leave. And then after that, she actually tells Michael that she has to let him go. And in this moment, Michael, he's just like, did I do something? Did something happen? Can you tell me? And she's not trying to give him any information. So he's just like, okay, cool. And so he's walking out. And then she's like, that's it. Because she thought that he was going to fight a little bit harder for it. And so he does turn around and he does attempt to fight a little bit more, but she doesn't give him any more information. So he pretty much just walks out. After he walks out of her office, he meets with Shamika and he tries to get more information from her. And Shamika actually slips up and she says without saying that Antoinette is attracted to him and that she's letting him go because, she's attracted to him. And I was like, oh, that's not a good move because if he's getting fired because she's attracted to him, that can lead to a possible lawsuit, a possible complaint. I was like, Shamika, that's not a good idea. And I think she realized that that was a terrible decision to make. And so she actually gets up and she repeatedly says, I didn't say that. You're taking out of turns. That's not what I said. But it's like, that is what you said. Next, we see Antoinette and Shamika walk into the car and we see that she actually has a new driver. In the car, Shamika reveals that Michael and her spoke after she fired him. And this is where Shamika reveals that she did pretty much tell him that, that she was attracted to him and that she let him go because she was in fear of, what her attraction would do, in that situation. And Antoinette pretty much said what I just said a little bit earlier, and the fact that he could make a complaint. This could come back on her. This could be a potential lawsuit. This is something that could be really serious. And then it's at this point, and I was like, oh my God, this is so convenient. And this is such bad writing and such basic writing. I knew this was going to happen. And I think I mentioned this in my last review. I knew this was going to happen. So as they're talking about this, Henry just so happens to call them and like, hey, did you get a jar of jam and did it have a letter on it? So it was actually sent from the senator, and we just need to know if you actually got that letter or not. And I was just like, oh my God. I rolled my eyes all the way to my brain. I was like, this is ridiculous. And so Shamika does reveal, we did see the note. And Shamika does say that she made multiple copies of the note. I thought that was kind of funny. And Henry pretty much says, just pretend like you didn't see it, act like it never happened. And then Antoinette disconnects the line. Afterwards, Antoinette and Shamika, they go to the house and we see the kids and they're with their mom, Cleo. And they're actually watching a documentary about HBCUs for the 90s project that they were working on a little bit earlier. And it's at this point that she reveals to her mom that the note that she received was actually not from Michael. It was actually from one of the senators. And then Cleo, she starts to talk, but Antoinette, she gets distracted. And the reason why she gets distracted is because the music that's playing in the documentary, it sounds very familiar to her. It is then revealed that the documentary that they are looking at is actually from Freaknik in Atlanta. It is at this point that she demands them to turn it off, and she says that she wants them to turn it off because the kids are too young. But it turns out that she wants them to turn it off because she's actually in the documentary, which explains why the song sounded so familiar to her. And I do want to point out as well, during this time, they actually put a lot of emphasis on the fact that the guy that was dancing with her wasn't their father. Like, this was something that they put a lot of emphasis on. And that actually brought me back to the previous episode where Shamika did advise that, she did not believe that Cyrus was Titus' father. She believes that that is Lola's father, but not Titus' father. And so I thought that was quite interesting. And the episode actually ends with us looking at Antoinette twerking on the man. And I was like, oh, this is not good. This is not good. Wait until the governor finds out about this. And that was actually the end of the episode. I want to thank you all for watching. If you could, please like, comment, subscribe. I would really appreciate it. You all have a great rest of your day.